Hey everybody, Steve here with White Knuckle Off-Road Adventures. We're going to be installing the new Superatv High Clearance Rear Control Arms. I got one side in and just kind of checked it to make sure I had it the way I wanted it. See, now I got the tire pretty much straight up and down, and the way Kawasaki has it, it's leaning in big time at the top. I guess they claim it's for handling and stability and stuff like that, but we'll see. If I don't end up liking it, I can always, adjust it. That's what's really nice with these Superatv arms, is they are fully adjustable. That's why we decided to go with them. And I've also got them in the front of the machine. And these have been in here for maybe not quite a year. And really like how they've worked out so far. The extra ground clearance is nice, and the adjustability is nice to have in there too. It makes it a little easier to do things if you want. So what we did on these rear control arms, on my machine anyway, is we did a 1/2 inch distance between right here on the bolt to this collar on the where the bushing, the bolt goes through for the bushing. So that 1/2 inch adjustment gave me that on my tire. So when I do load it up, hopefully it doesn't come in too much, and we keep a good amount of clearance in there. And now we're going to attempt to try to install this other side on camera for you. We'll see how it works. I'm not sure if it's going to work out good or not, but we'll give it a shot and see. Here we go. So you guys, this is pretty easy ordeal here. It's really not too tough to do. So we're going to get the machine jacked up real quick. Get our parts brought over here. And gonna get the tire off. I've only got a couple lug nuts holding just so it'll make it a little quicker. So we'll get that pulled off. That over here. You're going to need 17s and 14 millimeter wrenches for this job to get it all done for you. And it's really not too bad to do. It's overall a pretty easy job. We're going to start by pulling the shock off first. Get that on there. Let's see. Make sure we got it done in reverse here. And then we need the top one done. Also do a jack stand. Got to really kind of do a couple things here. This jack stand in here. Get it kind of wedged in there a little bit. And kind of take just a little hammer and tap these bolts loose. Get that shock out of the way. Shock bolts over. When I get the bolts all done, I like to take a little bit of grease and put on the bolts again. Just kind of make them so they maybe don't get as corroded up and stuff like that. See how that works. These top bolts on the control arm out here, they're 14s. 14mm wrench. There it is. So we'll get these out. Get those put off to the side. That off to the side. There's washers. That gets your lower control arm dropped down. And then you're going to go back to your 17s again. And get this lower control arm out of the way here. Get that up. Here. And again, you can just take a hammer. It's just got a soft end on it. It ain't gonna hurt any of the threads if you tap it with that or not. Get your old arm out of there. We don't need that anymore. And then again, we're gonna take a little bit of grease. We're gonna throw on these bolts. Just a light film, nothing too crazy. Then kind of looped up again. And now we're going to install the lower control arm. You want to leave these just a little loose so it's a little easier to put them in there. Bring them in. Bolt here, gotta get it in. Maybe I left that one a little too loose. Well, let's see, that might have got tapped in a little bit. Something. Sometimes things don't go as exactly the way you want them. Tap and the other side went in super easy, so it's kind of strange that this side doesn't want to quite go in where it belongs here. It's still just a little bit off. I'm not sure if I bent something a little bit or not. So, of all the control arms I've ever done, I've never had one stick on me before. The fronts went in perfect. The other side of the machine, everything went in really nice. So, not everything goes good, I guess, all the time. Let's get her here. See if we can't get this to get centered in there for us. Don't really want to pound on that too much. Got the dog going a little crazy out the back here for some reason. Cows or something must be out. The deer back there again. He gets a little nuts. The animals get in his area, he thinks. Man, these are being a bugger to get lined up. There we go. Alright, see if we can get one side in and There we go. Man, I can't believe that was so tight. I've never had that problem before with these. That's why I've really always kind of liked the Superatv stuff. It seems to fit really good. I've not really had any issues with it. So that kind of surprises me that I did there. There we go. All right, there again, not too terrible. Could be a lot worse. And I just get these kind of things in hand tight before I go and get too crazy on them. And we're going to take our lower bolt. I'm going to throw a little bit of grease on it. This is just wheel bearing grease. We're going to get our upper arm off too, because with these being offset, we've got to move them at the same time. So here we go, get this one out of the way. And get this back one out of the way. Get these out. That's that one. That's that one. Get that arm off. Get it out of there. Again, throw a little bit of grease on these bolts. Just to try to keep them from getting corroded a little bit. Maybe it helps, I don't know. It seems to. I do it quite a bit on other projects, and when I've taken them apart, it's made it easier to get things apart. And I've not noticed near the amount of dirt or grime or anything stuck up in them. So let's see if this goes in any easier. There we go. That's a little bit more what I'm used to. Now if we can just get the bolts back in them. Get it where we can see it. Whoops. So you guys see that this really doesn't take a long time to do. It's really not a bad install at all. The fronts were real easy. You know, getting the bushings put in, these are super simple. And the kit's pretty much self-explanatory. It didn't come with any instructions on this one from Superatv, which kind of surprised me. The fronts did when I bought them, but for some reason the back didn't. But there again, it's not real tough to look at it. You know, if you're doing an 1.5 inch back offset, you know which way the arms have got to face. And so we'll just get this thing put back together. Right now, get these back in, get your washer, and your nut back on here. And then your bottom bolt. You might have to take this out of the way a little bit. There we go. Bolt. Jack stand back out of the way for a minute. And these are 14s down here. I'll just put them back on. Super tight, crazy. When you guys get these arms, it's always good to kind of just maybe check them. I had a couple of friends and cousins that have just bought brand new teryxes. And the control arm bolts are really super tight in, and so are your shock bolts. So I've always kind of gone through and loosened them up a little bit. Maybe like a quarter turn off the bolt is all. And just give them kind of a check, see where you like it. Make sure the control arms are still, you know, got some movement in them. And just kind of give everything a check. I don't like just putting them on with an impact gun. I know some guys will probably do that, but I just kind of give them a check and see how nice the control arms move once you get them tight. When you replace these with the Superatv bushings in them, they seem to be able to tighten down a little better without binding up the control arms so much. We'll get these put back in here. Yeah, I like to do these by feel without the gun. I like to get everything kind of where I like it and then put the shock on. You also want to leave this bolt or this nut loose while you're putting these on so you can kind of pivot those just a little bit. And if you get them put on there and you don't like the way you've got them installed, you don't got to really get crazy about breaking that loose again. And it'll allow you to pull them back out and adjust them a little bit differently depending on how you want your tires to be in or out at the top there, towed in or towed out, or yeah, whatever you want to call it. So I give them things a good cinch, kind of come over and check it. I don't have to put much pressure at all on that at all to pick it up. Everything is tight, it doesn't feel bad at all. So now you can put your shock back in. So we're going to get that done. I always try to get the top in first. Again, I just finger tighten it for a second, leave it a little bit loose. The bottom one, you got to get a little tricky putting it back in. I mean, it's not terrible or anything. Usually it goes pretty good. It's just kind of getting everything there. Again, little tap, put the nut on. That's a little tight getting your fingers in there, but not bad. Same thing, just make these things just a little. So I got shocks in, shocks back on tight. The only thing I haven't really cinched down to these, I know I want mine at 1/2 inch. That's where I seem to like it, or like how it looks. We'll see how it handles there. If I don't like the way it handles, it's a pretty easy fix. Oops, wrong way. Guess you got to go the right way. And it's a lot easier to tighten these when it's in the machine too, so you got something to leverage. Okay. So if you guys get these put in and you don't like the way your machine's handling, what I found easiest, just take the bottom shock bolt out, take the bolt out here at the end of the knuckle, drop your control arm bolts, loosen these nuts up before you take the control arms out. Just crack these loose, drop these two control arm bolts out, your lower shock bolt. Yes, you can pull the whole arm off real quick and adjust this in or out depending on how you want your tire to sit in or out for you guys, or how you like it, or how you want it to look. So we got everything good and tight. We'll go ahead and throw the tire back on. We're running the 2810-14 Maxxis Carnivores on 7 by 14 4+3 offset Tusk Cascade wheels. I've had really good luck with Tusk wheels. I've not had any issues at all. They're not bead locks or anything like that. They do make some. I don't have any bead locks. I've not ever had any problems with them, you know, blowing them out or doing anything crazy to them. So I don't know, bead locks are nice. They definitely have their place. I've just never needed them personally. We'll retorque all the lug nuts down to, I believe it's 80. I think the book says like 86. I do around 79 to 80 pounds. Foot-pounds. I already got my torque wrench set up for it. So there you go. Parts installed. That definitely looks better. It's not even got a lift in it or anything like that, but it definitely makes the bike look like it's lifted. And granted, we just dropped it off the jack stand, so it'll settle just a little bit again when I move it out. The front was kind of the same way when we did it. But that looks like it turned out pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with that. The tires look like they're pretty much even. So there you go. Superatv rear control arms, start to finish. Both sides probably take you about an hour. I mean, it's really a pretty straightforward, easy install. You know, you can do it by yourself. If you don't have impact guns or stuff like that, it might take you just a few minutes more, but it's really not too bad. Those are just the Cobalt half-inch drive, you know, battery powered impact. And I've got an air gun too. Just sometimes that little impact, the Cobalt's, yeah, it's not as good as Milwaukee and stuff probably. Seems to do the job, but every once in a while you still got to grab the air gun, make it work right. So I'm super happy with that. It did make the wheelbase a little bit longer. Of course, it's 1.5 inches back now. So that gained me a little bit of space between there and the frame. And then I've got the fronts on, so they're 1.5 inches forward. I could probably go 30s without rubbing with these wheels without wheel spacers or a lift kit. I'm not 100% positive. But when I put these 28s on, even with these aftermarket wheels, my machine has the recall floorboards. And I was just rubbing, really not too bad, but I was rubbing a little bit. And that's kind of why we went ahead and did the arched arms on it. Get them forward and grab that little bit of extra ground clearance, and it has come in handy. We took this out to 5 Mile Pass here a couple 3 weeks ago, and there were some couple areas that were some really deep ruts, and a couple of machines in front of us were control arms were actually hitting that and digging up some of the dirt, and we cleared it no problem at all. So that was pretty cool, especially when I was up against new Can-Am X3 4-seater, which are super awesome machines, but they're the size of a school bus. So the tight wooded trails we like to run around on and do stuff on, this Kawasaki does awesome. It's by no means a Polaris or a Can-Am or Honda or even the new Kawasaki sport bike, you know. They're a little out inside and they put off some heat, but we've done a lot with that. We've done the heat wrap stuff. You can kind of see some of it back here still. But it's got the padding all the way. I've done the whole entire inside of the machine that way. And noise, it didn't help a ton, but it did help a lot with the heat. I was really surprised how much heat it took out. And if you guys ever need clutch work done, these guys are the ones to see. JBS did an awesome job on my clutches and my ECU. We sent them in and they got the clutches all done. You tell them what size tire you're running, what type of terrain you like to ride in, and they pretty much custom make your clutches to work for you. I believe mine would run from, you know, stock size tires up to 30-inch tires without any other modifications having to be done in my clutches. And with my ECU overrides that they did for me, we can get it up to about 61, 62 miles an hour out on the flats. But the biggest thing for me was getting rid of that locker. I like to play in the snow a lot with it. And that locker cutout irritated the hell out of me. So with what these guys did with it, no more locker. I put it in 4-wheel drive, put the locker in and punch it, and I don't have any rev limiters or anything stopping me. And the same with reverse. I've got a lot more power in reverse now. I can actually spin the tires. So it does really good. And they're little tanks, man. They just keep on going. Can't say enough about them. They're an awesome little machine. And as much as I love the side-by-side, that's still my favorite. I love my four-wheeler. The side-by-side's a great time. But if you just want to get out and go ripping around crazy, you know, you can't replace the four-wheeler. This is a 2019 Sportsman 850 HOSP. It came factory at the front and rear bumpers, high clearance control arms, some other stuff like that. So they're great. We just got back from a ride yesterday, so I got to get that thing cleaned up. But hey, thanks for watching. If you guys need anything or have any questions or something, let me know. I'll try to help out. I may not have any answer, but if I've got one, I'll give it to you. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good time. And if you want, subscribe. And we got some other videos out, and we're going to be doing some more. Thanks again. Bye.